Hello, and welcome to Real Talk with Rachel. Today I'm examining a reality we often don't want to consider, that not every kid has access to mental health care. I've seen some reviews of books that feature characters with mental health struggles, particularly in the middle grade space, where people say something along the lines of, "It was great, but the kid in the story didn't get the help they needed." Or, "It was a good book, but the main character's parents didn't take them to a counselor." Or, "I like this one, except the character really needed to see a therapist. And why didn't anyone take them to see a therapist?" Listen, it may be hard for some of us to imagine, but not all kids have access to mental health care. When I was a kid, I had a whole host of psychiatric problems: OCD, clinical anxiety, major depressive disorder, anorexia, many of which I would later learn are a result of autism. I lived in a low-income family that did not have money for therapy or treatment. Yes, you might be saying, but that was redacted years ago. There are options now. To which I would say, what are the options? We do not have universal health care in America. Therapy does not come standard on many insurance plans, and even if it does, insurance companies often limit how many sessions a person can have in a year. As if you get 20 sessions and you're healed. Good luck out there. And there's a copay for every therapist or psychiatrist visit. Families on tight budgets often don't have extra for those copays. The reality of my family growing up was that my mom could barely make ends meet. I had a sibling who needed help, who was suicidal throughout our adolescence. They got a little help when they admitted their suicidal thoughts, but not nearly enough. None of us got enough help. Not my mom, not my siblings, not me. We could not afford mental health care. Sadly, not much has changed. There are people and kids everywhere who don't get the help they need because it's too expensive or they don't have access. It's estimated that half of children and teens with mental health disorders, about 7.7 million kids, don't get the treatment they need. That is an unacceptable number. Here's the sad reality. A session with a therapist that requires a copay may be the difference between eating for a week or keeping the lights on. I know many people can't comprehend a reality like this, but I lived one. So when an adult says the character in this book needed some therapy and she didn't get it, I think, yeah, she did, and she didn't get it. Because despite what we want to believe about the world, not everything is equal, and not everyone gets what they need, and that should absolutely change. But as an author, I cannot and will not erase that reality out of existence. That would mean erasing my childhood and the current realities of so many other people out of existence. I did not get help for my anorexia because there was no money for help. I had to find my own ways of coping. I slid really far down and had to pick myself back up because it was the only option available. Today, when I experience flare-ups of my anorexic behaviors, I don't have the budget to get help either. Mental health care is still expensive, and many seasons my family doesn't have the money for it. My kids need therapy, but our budget is too tight. I don't say this for pity. I say it because I am not a low-income family anymore. I am middle class, sliding toward lower middle class as inflation flares, and I still can't afford mental health care. There's something very wrong with this. And I suspect there are lots of people like me and my family. The majority of us can't afford it. We do not live in a happily ever after world. So there's the biggest problem with reviews that call for a struggling kid to get help and therapy in the storyline. It is disconnected from reality. It makes a simple, clean ending for a complicated problem that is hardly ever simple and clean. I do what I can to show that there's hope in that struggling place. Hope within me, hope within the character themselves. Because kids who don't get the treatment they need will have to rely on that inner hope that they can make it despite what they're dealing with. I believe in therapy 100%. But until it's something all people have equal access to, I will continue writing my real stories where kids don't always get the help they need. I will continue telling my adolescent and teen readers, sometimes you have to find your own way through, and this is what it can look like. Journaling, writing, surrounding yourself with supportive people, running, staying down for a little while, but always pulling yourself back up. If you want to know more ways, read my books, or visit my website, or watch some of my other videos. Thanks for listening to my Real Talk. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for videos about books and writing and more videos like this. And sign up for my newsletter at racheltolson.com for inspiration, book recommendations, news, and writing prompts. Stay strong, and see you next time.